Hi, welcome to Watcher DM. I'm Gabriel. Today I am doing a flip through and review of the Cyborg role playing game compatible with Morkborg. It is a cyberpunk variant of the Morkborg rule set with kind of a whole rule setting and world. This book, I've got to say, is kind of an artifact. It's kind of a joy to touch. It's got this amazing double ribbon, blue and pink, really great foil cover. The art is evocative of the vibe, and of course inside the covers here you've got the kind of development tables. So you can use these tables to generate things within the game. So if you're running the game, this is where you're probably going to spend some of your time. There's a good index in the back as kind of the last page. And then your inside or end papers, you've got the actual rules for kind of everything in the game. So whereas the original Morkborg the rules tables were a little hard to grok, I feel like this one has a little more tooth to it, a little more thought out. And there's more rules to this game than there are in the original Morkborg. But the writing and game design is by Christian Salian, and the graphic design, art, and editing is by Johan Noor. Editing by Brian Yaksha, and additional editing by Walton Wood. A sensitivity consulting by Angel Giuffria, and pre-press by Dan Augstrand. There's a bunch of other credits here, so you should check it out. This is made with love by a lot of people and printed out of Latvia. It starts with world building. So it talks about the world is ending, and it kind of sets up this, pre-apocalyptic or like current, like apocalypse is happening now or will happen soon kind of world. And kind of nothing matters in this world except the city of Sai. Evocative, bright pieces of art, very, very punchy art. We should have burned this city centuries ago. Chapter 1. Sai. New capitalists rule from glass towers in Central. Immortal OG money aristocrats in gated mansions, in gated communities, in gated enclaves in the hills. This month's VIP celebs from their e-personas and clubs in the port. Gangs rotting in their turf in the slums bordering Go. Neo-mediums from whatever accursed den their cult claims as hallowed ground. All of them are building their own kingdoms and armies. And so this is the map of Sai, the city. It also comes on a poster size, which is good because this is really super kind of weird map. Like it's pretty detailed. The textures are there to kind of imply places. I don't know that I would call this a super usable map, but it's very striking. It's a pretty map. And then it lists the enemies. One of the rules of this game is that you will not... The players will never... be on the side of the corpse. Like, they'll work for the corpse, but not because they want to, kind of because they have to. So the corpse and the cops are the bad guys. In fact, in my game when I ran this, I didn't even have cops. I was like, there are no cops. There's only private security owned by corporations, which is kind of, I think, the implied setup here. So there are sections to this. Central is kind of these few places here, these couple places here. So there's North Central and South Central. But they only have like one page for Central, which includes both. So that's kind of interesting. I think one of the things about Central is that it's got lots of rivers and like waterways. So kind of like a toxic sewage Vienna. The ports is a section of town, obviously, where the ports are. But it does talk about there's no escape from the city. And then that there's, just a bunch of shipping stuff. There's also, I think, A3 is... what is A3 here? I think it's supposed to relate to these but I could be wrong. I think maybe the point here is that the airport is closed. Go. This is where the rock fell, where the bombs dropped. A post-apocalyptic quagmire kept in quarantine by massive wall monitored by auto turrets and armed drones. So, yeah, very punishing environment. The industrial areas, it talks about the industrial zones. Good place to get sick, get mutated, get weird. The slums is kind of, in a lot of places, the slums is like a color-coded portion of the map. So it's any of these pink zones are the slums. So there's a lot of them. So that can be kind of cool, right? You can say like, oh, you got to go to Lily Pond and then like start describing the slums. Or you've got to go to Laketon and like that's its own slums. It's got its own kind of vibe and flavor. My advice would be when you're going to do an adventure in this place, like pick out the neighborhood by name you want to have the PCs go between and make sure to write up a quick little sentence or two that kind of drives home the flavor of that place and what's unique about it. Otherwise, slums can start to feel really samey. Industrial areas can start to feel really samey. So, but it's a great opportunity to kind of exercise your creative muscle. On water, so this is what talks about kind of those channels of weird waterways. And yeah, it's kind of a spider web of bridges. I definitely used some watercraft buildings and taxis and stuff when I was running my game. The hills is like a paid protected zone for the rich. So that can be a really fun place to send them on heists and missions. I could have them run into some really weird stuff up there. You know, go nuke Peter Thiel. It could be really fun. Let's pretend this never happened. The in-betweens. So this is kind of the work. This is about like the workaday nerds that are just like corporate goons. And so, yeah, you've got a couple of locations here like Svarta, the Borg holds. So these are these little kind of corporate holdings. Like work locations, I guess. The Negacity devours all it sees beyond sigh. It fracks and churns the earth, it boils the ocean barren, it cages the natural world in its drug-fueled, over-bloated factory meat farms. Beyond the city limits are field upon electrified field for automated agriculture machines the size of cathedrals. What few forests remain are dominated by armies of buzzing, sawing, burning, clear-cutting drones that could not care less for what or who they cut down. Tomb towns. So I do like this idea. This isn't something we explored in my game, but it's definitely something I would want to do, is kind of have them go out into the wilds and deal with like the dead cities in the wilds and kind of what's left there. I just imagine this place is full of like cyber zombies, right? This is a big part of the game, the net. It's really kind of weird that it gets like it shows up so late and it gets very little in terms of like a discussion here. But the important characteristic is like everybody's connected to the net all the time. So this whole place really like one of the best things you can do in your cyborg game, in my opinion, is invest in like having a good, solid mental model of how the net interacts with users and how it abuses their attention. Like this is an advertising platform, plus, right? It's a weird, dark place. They can find stuff there, but that's dangerous. And I think it kind of becomes it's like the location that everybody's at, no matter where they go. And I think that's a really interesting context in an RPG to carry with you. Memorable headlines. So this whole section is about the approaching kind of end of the world. And so these are like tables you can roll based on how frequently you want these events to happen. And then when you make a check, I think it's like you roll a die each midnight. A result of 1 activates a miserable headline. So that's one of the miserable headlines, the D66 table. And then on the 7th time a miserable headline is rolled, it will always be 0x0, which is the last one. And so you can see there's some really cool things here. So police budget increase, thou return to normalcy. Psi Security Council institutes a zero tolerance block policy to curb criminal elements. Police are encouraged to shoot on sight any suspicious parties. This policy is instituted in the PC's neighborhood of operations. So any cops that are around, just start shooting. Pretty cool. Go Wall Breach releases nano freaks into ports. Warzone Screaming Stone Harbor. Economy in shambles. Catastrophic error or devious cyber attack. God, you could read some of this stuff straight out of today's newspapers. Pretty wild. And then, yeah, you get your exit. Then it talks about systems. So chapter 2 is all about systems. They kind of encourage you to break every rule in this book. That's fine. There aren't a lot of rules in this book. Again, everybody has a retinal comm device. That's your net connection. And then this is like your character generation. Largely based off of like cash and gear, kind of who you are. You're going to roll your ability stuff. You can choose or randomize a class if you want. You could make a class in this game. I think it's pretty straightforward. Roll for features, styles, and obsessions, which is pretty cool. It's too bad that it's like, go way out here to like roll that, because it's optional, so they kind of put it towards the end of character creation. But whatever. You randomize your stuff, you roll your debt, you roll your glitches, you roll your hit points, and you get shit done. So these are how abilities work. It's a 3d6 take the mod game, and it's got 5 stats: agility, knowledge, presence, strength, and toughness. Not a lot to explain here. The mod just helps you roll, right? And you're trying to roll over a DC, and the DC is something that the player knows. And it's all player facing rolls. So everything in this game is going to be, the monster goes to hit you, roll defense, right? Or roll dodge. Bullets come streaking from across the road, like, roll your dodge. Oh, you want to shoot him? Roll your attack, which is usually going to be, dex or whatever. Presence for snipe shoot. And then, here's your difficulty ratings. Very clear, well articulated. Here's the kind of ads that I was talking about. So, like, just imagine that the net is in here, and it's kind of trying to get you to do some stuff all the time. And then these are showing your classes. So you've got Shunned Nanomancer. You've got the Burned Hacker, which is a cool character type. You got the Discharged Corp Killer, which is a pretty nasty customer. Orphaned Gearhead. I had one of these in my party. It was pretty cool. Actually, I think we might have had one of these and one of these. Or no. I think this was the one that we had. Renegade Cyber Slasher. Yeah, pretty good. This is pretty wild stuff. Like, the character classes are very punchy. Forsaken Gangoon. It's another. Yeah. You're gonna get some wild stuff out of this. Like, no matter what you do, it's gonna be fun. These are the optional style and feature tables. And this is like the current, wants, quirks, and obsessions. So this can really help you build out not just PCs, but NPCs. So definitely, if you're going to run something, roll some of these for any NPCs you've got you want, and you can really flavor them up real quick. Weapons. So weapons are a little bit interesting. They do damage, and then I think when you get, so you'll see like an A next to some of these. That means they're auto fire. Some of them are only auto fire, like 2 small SMGs, only auto fire. Auto fire is a set of rules that basically you can make multiple attacks in a round. Armor is all here, so these are like the costs of your armor. And armor, the way armor works is you roll a die for the armor that you're wearing and reduce that much from damage that you take. This is your debt generator, so this says who you owe your debt to and how badly they want it back. 1 through 6, very cute. Some items are available as cybertech implants and mods for 10 times to 50 times the listed price. So these are, like, most of these are just items and equipment, but some of them can be used as cyber mods. So, like, if you want a micro torch cutter as a cyber mod, it would cost 10 to 50 times what it costs here. Transport, surprisingly cheap. Getting a cabin in Cyborg is, like, pretty cheap. Also, housing was surprisingly affordable, I thought. But, whatever. Like a slum apartments for 100 to 300 credits a month. That's like really cheap. Like really, really cheap. Yeah. Weapons for sale. So here's a bunch more weapons and how much they cost, which I think is pretty cool. Some ammo and then single use booster mods. So these are like single shot effects that you can do to your weapons. Drugs. This came up a lot in my game. Whatever. I like drugs. They're all right for play. And so, yeah, they're kind of interesting. Like, most of the drugs don't really have a super beneficial effect, but they are worth doing occasionally. It is unclear from this here, like, what the recreational dose does. So I think you just narrate that. I don't think there's any, mechanical effect. Cybertech. This is like your cyberware stack. This stuff is great. Absolutely evocative. Very, very fun. These are apps you can get installed for your retinal comm device. And this is what you're going to use if you're hacking and stuff. And then backslashes, this is app fumbles. So when you fail to use an app, when you critically fail on an app roll, this is the kind of stuff that'll happen to you. Just pretty evocative, really messed up stuff. Nano powers, we didn't get into this too much, but it's because we didn't have a nanomancer. Basically, it seems like there's like a nano corruption going on, and like via cyberware and nanobots, you can kind of get really weird. Really weird. Chill of the void. Yeah. And then once that goes wrong, I think you get infestations. So bugs crawl beneath your skin, they burrow deeper, sending you to the ground, shaking with pain for D6 rounds. So this is like, yeah, infestations not linked to a nano power are triggered whenever you're dealt 5+ damage. There's rules around nano and infestation that I don't fully understand because I didn't use this. I didn't have this happen in my game. Glitch is your luck points or whatever, your luck tokens, your inspiration, whatever you want to call it. You get a number of these based on, I think, a roll, or you begin with D2, and then it can like go up when you level up or whatever. The way that I played Glitch was really fun. So something terrible would happen, and the PCs would roll again using Glitch. And I would say the evidence of the terrible thing remained, but like the PCs were okay. So, yeah, that definitely hinted at some of the stuff in the end of the world segment. This is how hit points are set up. And then emergency body modifications. This is kind of healing stuff. Initiative rules. Actually, this is all the combat rules are all here on this spread. I would use the ones at the back, if I'm being honest, just because like the art's great, but like nobody needs to look at this while they're trying to figure out what the rules are. But yeah. And then optional combat mods. So this is all stuff that can be optionally used to make combat feel a little more crunchy, but not necessary. This is a discussion about time, rest, first impressions, and morale. So those are all really nice rules to have in an OSR-style game, so I'm glad they provided them. And then this is basically leveling up. So this is self-improvement. And the DM kind of just decides when you level up in this game, which I think is fine. I had the party actually decide, like each member would decide what the other member got from this list, just one. And so, yeah, we did some interesting leveling up, and it happened every session. I just let them level up at the end of every session. And then, chapter number 3, Show No Mercy, They Won't. So this is the enemies, guards and goons. You've got, just basically stat blocks for some monsters with some discussion what they are, some really vibey art. Yeah, some fun, wild stuff in here. Heir of Kurgaz, fanatical nanomancer, heralds of the two-headed demon, prefer to keep victims alive for a properly prepared ritual sacrifice, but sometimes on the go will have to suffice. Psychic Scalpel, and they are Nanomancer. Their nano powers include Cosmic Dust Bots, Bent Prism, Crawling Carapace, and Benevolent Suture Droids. Then you got Nano Goons. Drones. Throw drones at your party. You need more drones in your game. Trust me. They're worth it. Enhanced Beasts. These are creatures that have been modified. So the wargs are like, dogs that have been cybernetically modified. Vamps often kept in large groups to guard an area, but tend to procreate and spread more than wanted. So I think vamps are like bats. Crocs are underwater horrors. They guard sewers, tunnels, and so like they're crocodiles. Cyber crocodiles. And then you've got Psydroids. So these are basically like over modified humans who become cyborgs, or they're just full on like humanoid machines. They talk about what they are here. What is that? Nano Freaks? Headhunter? That's freaking weird. A Bright Husk? A Whitetail? A Myth, a Ghost, eerily large eyes, a body like smoke. It moves with purpose, stealing tech and vanishing without a trace. It's like a little ghost fox, or possum. This is the bloated, the walking corpses that shamble inside go. So cyber zombies, pretty cool stuff. Combat vehicles, Milcorp gunship. It's got some, you've got a mech here, so you can, fight against mechs, which is a good way to die. Ghost is, I think these are like creatures inside the net. And then we get into data. So the data section of the book, chapter 4, is where you're going to find a lot of your generators for this game. I would recommend just rolling some stuff. Just roll some stuff on here and see what you can generate, and then try stitching it together later. Mission generators, okay. It's not, it's not amazing, but it's pretty good. There's also, there's a lot of this stuff is online for free. There's a website you can go to. I'll try and put the link down in the description. But it lets you just generate the stuff from this book, like straight up online, and stitches it together for you in a nice, helpful way. One of the problems with physical books, I think, and generators is that, like, often what you're trying to do is really generate a spread that tells you all the things you generated, and that's just not a physical book type of behavior. So the website works really well for that. You've got your rewards, you've got the job, the target, the location, geo, security, complication. You've got some location features you can add. You've got a corporation generator, so you can generate your own free corporations. Making corporations is fun. There seems like there's already kind of plenty in the game, but juice them up. Cult generators are fun. Having the party go after cults is really good, or get involved in cults. I had a party member really want to get into a cult, and ended up taking him where he was trying to go. City events. These are great, so anytime they're traveling through the city, you're going to want to roll on this table just to have some events happen, have them interact with some stuff. If they're in the net, roll on this table, have them generate some net events. So that can be really cool. Nice 404, bro. And then at the back of the book, you've got Lucky Flight Takedown and Introductory Cyborg Heist. My party ran this. One thing that isn't necessarily obvious from the setup here is that it's probably the case that the party's going to want to go here when it's open, scope the joint, and then kind of come back when it's closed with their plan. So that's how I ran it. We had a great time. It was a lot of fun. They ended up succeeding. I will say the layout for this is much more usable than the rest of the book, but that's kind of by design. I think Morkborg, the core book, has kind of the same feature. Also, you'll notice that these pages here are not glossy. They're matte, kind of uncoated paper, which really helps a lot when you're dealing with like different lighting and stuff, so you don't have to worry about the glare knocking out your ability to read. You've got everything's on spreads, right? It's really straightforward. Could use a little bit of extra zhuzh to like help kind of stitch things together and make sense, but also, if you're playing Cyborg or Morkborg, I recommend you just get used to it and try and figure out how to improv some of this stuff. Maybe do a little pre-thought and kind of write some stuff down about things you want to add in that are kind of juice it up, make it your own. But what's here is more than serviceable to get through an adventure, I think. The Vault in Prison. This was so cool. So, yeah, spoilers for this, I guess, which, you know, you should have, like, whatever, man. It's a flip-through review. I'm flipping through the whole thing. Get over it. The whole setup here is that the data, like, server, the offline server that they want you to, like, destroy to clear the debt for this heist is actually a person. It is a nano-infected who has been imprisoned and is basically being used as a living offline database and balance sheet, which is insane and kind of awesome. Watana was a big deal. Party used the green room to get in for their second thing, so that was kind of cool. Like when they came back, they came in through this. The power core, I don't think they ever ended up touching it. Rendezvous with Charlie. So this adventure ends. This is actually my one complaint about this adventure is like, it's like, yeah, he just kind of screws them over and like deal with it, you know, which is cool and everything. Like I get it. Like the game is intended to kind of be like, yeah, there's no win here, and that's fine. The party still got something, so it was okay. Like they still kind of won. But yeah, in the end, you know, everything's lost, so it's fine. You got your corp index, so this is pretty cool. It's got some good like explanations for the corporations and some nice little tag-ons for like what they've got and where they are. And then yeah, your index and your rules all on one spread. Very, very convenient. I don't know what the symbol is, but it's sexy as hell. So whatever that symbol is, I love it. Yeah, man. I kind of can't recommend this enough. I really had a hard time with Morkborg originally. I intend to go back to it, but this one I really wanted to play. I felt like this was going to be the redeemer, and I was very right. I'm stoked that I got to run it. I hope I get to play it sometime soon. And this, I think, has given me hope that I'm probably going to try some of the other Borgs. I'm really excited to give that another whack. Anyway, if you liked this video, and I hope you did, I hope you will click the like button. I hope you'll subscribe to my channel if you want to see more flip-through reviews like this of books and games that I personally have run or played in. That's the promise. I'm trying to deliver that. I think too many people do reviews that are read reviews. They have read the book, but they have not actually thrown dice around the content in the book. And, you know, I think that stuff is great. It's useful. It's interesting, but I want to provide something that's got a little bit more nuance, a little bit more action, and, you know, experience behind it. So that's what I'm doing here. These videos come out every Tuesday. So if you want to get those a week early, you can go to my Patreon, patreon.com/watcherdm, and you'll get all my videos a week early. And then if you want to just subscribe and hit the bell icon, you can get this stuff here. If you also just want to support the channel, you can go to watcherdm.com, join our mailing list, and, you know, buy our content. We make games and role-playing supplements and stuff like that. Thanks so much for watching. See you inside.